I'm here with a new video today. Finally, Charm came back this week, but it came out on cable and stuff yesterday. It came out on the CW app today, March 28th. It comes out on Saturdays on the CW app. The next day after actually comes out on other platforms. But finally we get to see them come back and to see what has the sisters and Harry has been up to. So let's get on with this Charm review that I've been waiting to do till it came back. So first we see like recap of what happened last episode. We see the sisters at like this coffee hangout place getting coffee and stuff. They talk about Macy messes around with Mel. Mel said that her and Ruby stayed up since 2 a.m. to watch football and stuff. And they asked Mel asked Maggie if she's there with them. She says yes, and then she changed her answer and she said no because she couldn't stop thinking of what Abby said, that the reason why they didn't get the Power 3 back is probably because of them. And Mel or Maisie mentions that they had these powers, or Maggie did, and then they go into the command center and they hear Harry read the description or something off this like bottle that has this dark lighter in, and they talk about it, and Macy's like, it's without him out of the bottle you're safer, without him out of the bottle everyone's safer. And they get like an alert of something like a witch and stuff, and they go to like Portland where the docks are at, and they find out that there's no witch there. And Maggie flashes back on when she saw this guy that looked familiar to her. She finds out it's Bruce that was at the club where her and Jordan went to when they were investigating. And she's like, she out of nowhere ambushes Bruce, or at least go to Bruce and said, "Hey Bruce." He was about to shoot her or something, but Maggie's like, "You don't want to do that." And then he's like, "Who's gonna stop me?" And then Mel comes out. Mel's like, "Me." And then she does her hand thing that does her powers, and she like heats up the gun to the point where Bruce lets it go because it gets too hot. And then Macy telekinesis or whatever the gun to her. Bruce asks what happened. They ask what he's doing, or tell them what he's doing. Bruce like, I'd rather just show you than tell you. He goes onto his like watch, turns on something, which he unlocked like this cage that has this like dead human who has magical powers in him. And they try to like deal with it, but the monster's like too strong. They see Bruce run away, and this monster ends up looking like he's gonna spit out like something, and it looked green and it's like goo, and out of nowhere it hits Bruce, and it like kind of like made him turn into ashes, and the only thing that's left of him was like his boots and all. And then they hear something out of Bruce's trunk. It was this like elderly lady. They hear like more screaming, or they hear like vehicles coming, and they go back to the command center. Harry's like, what is this now, or who? And once they took off her blindfold. The person in the command center, like Syrian stuff, said welcome home, Elder Celeste, and there were like they thought that all the elders were dead, but then they find out that this elder left the group before because she didn't want to do what they were doing and continuing doing what they were doing for like 150 years. And yes, that was so shocking because that probably makes her like 200 or something at this point. And then she takes like a spell to where the board changes to where you could detect demons and such, and they wonder how she did that and talk about and then Harry ends up having like a flashback of where he saw her, and then found out that she was there when they were taking out his dark lighter out of him. And of course he got so mad that he left the command center and went to like the hallway near the door where you go to the command center, and Macy follows him, and she's like, Harry, what's wrong? Are you okay? And whatnot. Harry's like that. Harry said that Celeste had to like leave and stuff, but Macy said that she could be like a good contribution to, or a good asset to them, to help them figure out how they're transferring magic to dead bodies and stuff. And Harry says he understands, but he hasn't like known these feelings. And she's like, what feelings? And he said rage. And then we see back to the command center where Mel and Maggie talk to Celeste about Wildlighters and transferring and stuff. She said yes. Then she figured out that the way they found out how to transfer magic to dead bodies or something like that was, she explains to the girls that she had a book on how to transfer magic in the command center, but before computers were made, she made another second copy. She put it in like a castle, but eventually someone found out, probably Nadia or whoever before Nadia found it and used it. And then Macy comes back in and said Harry was right. She leaves command center mad, and of course we see her enter the house. We hear classical music, and she calls Harry, and out of nowhere these two girls come out of the living room, I presume, or the dining room, and she is confused on who these two girls are. And then she hears Macy, and then Harry, and then Harry says, Macy, we weren't expecting you. And then I don't know, we see Abigail running in, and she's like wearing like some mom chic outfit. I'm sorry for my head doing that. It's hard for me to do the explain without doing gestures. And then she finds out that the two kids were Harry and Abigail, and that Harry and Abigail are married, and that was like so shocking. That's probably like her worst nightmare of all, finding out the person she has feelings for end up having to get married to someone she hates and have kids with someone she hates. And then the kids go with Abigail somewhere. Macy goes to the kitchen and she freaks out, and the sisters came in. Mel gives her like the cold shoulder, but Maggie doesn't, and said that they were there to get ready for their anniversary. And she asked the sisters to come with her to talk alone, talk about a nightmare and what Celeste did. And out of nowhere, they were talking about what happened. And then after that, Macy just walked out of the room and goes to the kitchen. Sorry, I needed a burp. And she tells Harry that she knows this isn't real, that she can prove it to him, but that was when one of his daughters was there and told his daughter to go somewhere or whatever. And then we see Macy go back up to her room because she wanted to prove to Harry with her journal, finds out that it's changed. One thing that Nightmare, Maggie, and Mel told her was that Abigail stripped her powers away and became one of them, but then she ends up finding out that Abigail never did strip her powers, and Abigail said, I'm not like stupid like you, and she ends up mentioning that Macy is married to Julian, but she had a failed marriage with him, and then she showed her red eyes, and of course, she said that her best anniversary gift was to beat the crap out of Macy, but then Macy did it first by shoving her out the door to the ramp thingy or whatever, and then Macy probably said something or whatever, and then Abigail ends up playing the part of the confusing wife, saying, Harry, help, she has gone mad, she runs down, and she's wearing Macy's red dress. Macy goes after her, and of course, Abigail takes the knife out of the kid, tries to throw it to Macy, but then Macy stopped it, and she was going to throw it to Abigail, but out of nowhere, it went to Maggie, and she said sorry, but Maggie's like, Macy, don't. And then Harry and Mel saw what happened. Mel's like, what did you do? And Macy's like, Harry, heal her, please. And Harry did. Harry's like, it's too late. And then out of nowhere, Macy's like, someone wake me up from this nightmare. She wakes up to both Mel and Maggie. They said that Celeste did something, and then out of nowhere, it was Maggie's nightmare turn. She gets like a vision, a premonition of the monster they were fighting for before Celeste did like a spell on them. She tells the two that there was a monster in the building, and of course, at this point, it was only Macy that knew that Maggie wasn't going insane, but Mel did, and Mel saw her as a little girl. She goes like out, and everyone's like saying she's so cute, laughing and stuff. That's probably because Maggie doesn't notice that they're seeing her as a little girl, not as like an adult. And she goes to Jordan. Jordan takes her to his gym and, you know, plays around like how kids do. And Maggie's like, Jordan, you seem like why are you treating me like a child? And then she looks in the mirror, finds out that she is a child, and that's what they're seeing. Jordan's like, I have no time to play around with you anymore. Maggie's like, don't give up, Jordan, don't give up on me. And then he's like, that's what men do. She goes outside. Of course, she hears the monster, and then she sees Mel, and then she said, Mel, there's a monster. Then looks back, he was gone. And then she had a conversation with Mel, and out of nowhere, the monster appears in front of Mel, and she's like, Mel, watch out. And Mel didn't do anything, and the monster just scratched her in the face, or something like that, and Mel dies. And she's like, and then Maggie's like, Mel, don't, and when or Mel, no. And then Macy comes up, saying, what did you do? She said, nothing, it was a monster. And then Macy said, what monster? And they figure out that they're in this like insane dream together, and then we go back out of the simulation they were in, and yes, we find out they were in a simulation. Celeste is just saying these like this incantation or something. I don't know what the words are. I forgot about it right after the episode ended. Harry comes in. He's like in the, I think you call it balcony or whatever you call it, and he's like, "What are you doing? Stop!" And she continues, and then Harry gets like a sword off the wall. He tells Celeste that you created white lighters to protect witches, and if it means killing her to protect the witches, he'll do it. But then Celeste explains, saying that she needed to put them in a sleep, dreaming or whatever, to avoid fear, and said that the only way they wake up is after they die, but they haven't woken up. And she explained that if Macy dies, they probably won't come back. But then Harry tells her that their fear is not dying, their fear is losing each other, and he pleads with Celeste to put him in there to get them. She did. He wakes up in Mel's nightmare, where she's in an asylum. Mel eventually got out of her room, and she sees Jordan. Jordan helps her escape. That Macy and Maggie is outside. But when she went outside, but before that, she's like, I thought I heard Harry's voice. And she goes outside. She was happy to see Macy and Maggie, but Macy and Maggie tells her, "Don't come closer, go back in, it's a trap." And then she sees Jordan again, but then she finds out that's Jordan's grandfather, Lawrence. And she tells him that, "I'm not gonna let you kill my sisters and all the other witches in the asylum." And I forgot what he said at that point. And then we see Harry like tase him with like this like taser stick that he was gonna get tased with. And he tells the girls that we can't let Macy die, because if she dies, you guys won't wake up and come back. And so they untie both Macy and Maggie. Mel helps Maggie down. Harry helps Macy down. At this point, I was just like fangirling here, or girl fangirling or whatever, over Macy and Harry at that point. And then they see the workers coming out with the taser stuff, and then Lawrence coming back, and Mel said that Mel was the first one to say that she's gonna sacrifice herself to save Macy. And then Maggie does the same thing, and then Harry's like, "I'm a white lighter, I should do it." And Macy's like, "If this is real, I don't want you guys to do it." But then it was their choice, and out of nowhere, Harry gets stabbed, and I think they did, but they probably didn't. Harry was the first one to wake up. Then the three, and then Macy's like, "I killed you in my dream." And then Maggie said, "I killed Mel in my dream." And they tell Harry to go find Celeste before she's gone for good, while they go take care of the matters in Portland. And while Harry goes do that, the girls go back to Portland, and they're in this warehouse where they heard someone screaming, because Maggie didn't know if they were in the real world until she heard a scream. They went to the person who was screaming, find out that she was a witch, or they just thought she was a witch. Found out that she only got killed after getting scratched. And then one of them said that they don't know where to find the monsters until they heard it roar in the distance. They go after it, and of course at this point he was about to he shoots acid goo to them, but it missed them. They run to the other door outside, close the door, and of course at this point the monster didn't follow them. The sisters talk about whatever, and at this point they hold each other's hands. Maggie says the same thing that they did when they were trying to get the power of 3 back, podium something or whatever, and then Mel said it, and then Macy said it, and of course they were almost about to doubt that it wasn't going to come back or it wasn't going to happen until they find like a feel of electricity going through their bodies, and of course it connects to each other, and out of nowhere ends up striking to the door where it blasted open, and they got so excited that they got the power of 3 back. They walk outside, and of course they continue walking until Maggie has a premonition of the monster behind that gonna go behind them and shoot acid to them, and she's like, the monster's behind us, and of course they whispered 1, 2, 3. They turn around, and of course they shoot out or blasted out lightning out of their arms or hands to him, and of course eventually he got vanquished, turned into dust. There was only his skull left, and then we see them back at the command center where they see Harry and Celeste, and they were wondering what Harry is doing. He's pouring tea for Celeste and him, said that he forgave her, and Macy was wondering, you forgave her for putting us in a deep sleep and stuff. He said, no, I forgave her for what she did to him. And Celeste explained why she was doing that to them. To the girls, she told the girls the reason why she put them in a deep sleep was because she wanted them to avoid one thing that was going to endanger them all was fear, because she didn't want fear to dictate their decisions and stuff like it did to them back in the day. And the girls mentioned that no matter what they disagree on, whatever page they weren't on or were on, they would always sacrifice for each other, and their differences are their strength, and they got the power of 3, and now they're gonna figure out. And then Celeste said that whenever they need her help, she'll be there. But then Maggie's like, Celeste, or Celeste, thank you, or whatever. And then she's like, it's okay, we got this. Celeste's like, I know you do. And she mentions that Mykonos or something is great this year or something. And then she takes Harry's arm, and of course I think Harry is gonna take her there. And then we see the girls at the Manor House at night in their pajamas. They're out on the porch in the front, and they know that the house is visible, so they're visible with it. No one would not notice they're there. And Mel said, I got you to something, and I think Maggie or Macy said, when did you have time for shopping? She's like, I got at the warehouse. I wanted us to have something to commemorate the time when we got the Power 3 together, and they wear it. And of course Macy's like, want to try out on new powers, and of course where the finger they put the rings on, they put it close to each other, and they tried it out, and of course it's blue lightning started like coming out of their hands and then flowing away from them. So one good thing that I loved about this episode was, yes, of course, finding out there is another elder that was never killed, and finding out that they are getting their power 3 back, which is pretty much exciting. Because, but other than that, I'm happy that they got the power 3 back, because probably they know that without the power 3 they wouldn't be here. And then they said, then Maggie's like, we started the power 3, and of course with me having opinions on it or something, she said they started power 3, and I was like, then they're gonna end the power 3 together. At this point, I actually, I really thought that Macy was gonna end up telling Harry what her nightmare was. But at the same time, I was like so glad because we don't actually know how Harry would react to her nightmare. Even if he says it's never gonna happen, but it probably might. We don't know yet. So, I don't know what my theory's on for the next episode and so on, but I can't wait to see if there's a new episode next week, because if there is, I want to see what actually happens, because I did see the promo for the next episode, and it had Parker, and then I saw that, and then we saw Godric telling Abigail that they had to figure out how to take care of this, and I don't know what this is, probably the sisters, and also see what if it's gonna have Jordan in this episode and whatnot. But other than that, this episode is amazing. I mean, yes, in the first half of season 2, I was hesitant if I wanted to keep watching it at this point, because it got like so confusing. First they find out about the Darklighter looking like Harry, and find out the origin story of Whitelighters and Darklighters, and then these romances that are getting so confusing at some point. Like first they made Mel sort of have feelings for Cat, or got interested in Cat, and then kisses her, or she kisses her, and then they never happen, and out of nowhere she goes with Ruby, and then Maggie ends up meeting Jordan. And then we were hoping they were probably gonna be together, but they don't. She finds out about Parker being alive, and then Macy losing her witch, getting agitated that she doesn't have her witch powers anymore and whatnot, and then finding out Harry has feelings for Macy, and then seeing Macy figuring out that she has feelings for Harry, but end up dating Julian, and all of that. So it's just one big of a question mark on the next couple episodes. But before I make this video any longer than it should be, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on notification bell to always be notified, because weekly videos are coming. Like, I already uploaded my Legacies review. I did say in that video that it was probably going to be uploaded before I uploaded my video that I filmed this week, or last week, but I didn't. I'm probably going to upload it tomorrow. Tomorrow, because tomorrow's Sunday and today's Saturday when I film this, or probably sometime next week or this week or something. So there's just like a lot and whatnot, and I'm still trying to come up with videos to film. So that's it for the video, today's video. See you next video. Bye.